Oh God, the sound is bad.
Is Frank advised well?
And I don't know how to fix that. It's not bad, but I hear it better now. You came in kind of light. But it sounds all right. 50 people will tell me if it sucks. Problem is I can't turn it up.
It's still going on, it's up to 2,000. Doesn't remember the other guy that told me that, he used to wear outrageous things and raise so, Frank's good, didn't he? It's kept it up a couple notches, obviously, what's happening.
Well, I know it's working properly. Thank you.
What do you think of the second one? Yeah, right. I told you, sunglasses are required. You're saying it's gonna stay south. I'm supposed to be on my airplane, my parents on the airplane on Saturday, it's better than. Yes. Please. The airport? Oh, it's just, it's ridiculous, they're doing all construction. Ridiculous. No, and then, I got them. And then Wednesday again. So I gotta try to get as close to the door for her, as closest to the escalator to go up. She's better.
It's easier.
Picking them up, well, that's a whole nother issue. I've never done that. And do you know that if you have a residence there, it doesn't matter? Do you apply under, your income has to be under $60,000 a year to qualify. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who makes $60,000 and lives in Manhattan? Please rise for this. We're gonna crank up. The pledge of allegiance that binds
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I bet Bob did.
All right, welcome to the organizational meeting of the year 2025, and happy New Year to everybody that I've seen so far. We, not on the agenda, but I'm gonna add it as public comment. We'll have it at the beginning and end of the meeting. So if anyone is interested in speaking, the first public comment will be on agenda items only and for 3 minutes. Is anyone here that would like to comment? Oh, sorry, thank you. This is my brother's here. And the room right now, we have trustee Baskin, we have trustee Greenman, trustee Mary Grace Bush, myself, and I believe the mayor will be jumping on as soon as he is able to. So, all right, we public comment, is there anyone? Nothing? All right. We'll move on to the agenda. This is regarding our board meetings. May I please have a motion to adopt the rules of procedure as amended at the January 2nd, 2025 special meeting, and amended further as attached to take into consideration the 2026 organizational meeting. All right, any discussion?
Yeah, from looking at the attachment, the only thing I saw amended was that, in the rules of procedure stating that appointments aren't necessarily associated with organizational meetings, and that seems to be the only amendment. I find that a little ironic, because, it kind of basically proves the point that that business is organizational business. Why have an amendment if it isn't? You don't need it, completely superfluous. So it goes to the fact that apparently organizational business was conducted last Thursday, even though this is the organizational meeting. Otherwise, they wouldn't even need that amendment. And that was confirmed by our attorney, that she had stated, we don't need an amendment, that you can conduct that because there isn't anything in the village law that says that it's organizational business. Now, there's decades upon decades of precedent that it was always done on the annual organizational meeting, and anybody out here can Google it, and you'll find that most of the time appointments are done at annual organizational meetings. So I just find it curious and completely ironic that if it doesn't matter, then why have an amendment?
Okay, anyone else? All in favor?
Wait, I got another time. The one thing, first of all, I just want to say I'm happy we're having this meeting today in compliance with village law. As late as last week, there was absolutely no plan to have this required meeting tonight. So, and good for you, Frank, for joining us at this meeting. So the comment I'd like to make on the agenda, the rules of procedure is, there is under special meetings, just because we've had so many of them lately, it says special meetings are called by the mayor or by any 2 board members. The clerk contacts the members if a quorum is available, notifies the official newspaper at least 24 hours in advance of the special meeting. I just think, and then right below it is something for emergency meetings. And I think special meetings are not emergency meetings by definition, we've separated them. And in order for adequate public notice, I think it would make sense to make that at least, 72 hours or 48, 72 hours, because usually we do schedule our meetings, a week ahead. 24 hours does not seem like enough. Not everyone's checking their village website every day, and so it just seems like too short a time period. So I would request that we increase that to 48 or 72 hours. Any thoughts on that? What do you think, Mayor?
I think 72 hours is too much time.
if it's not an emergency, I can see where an emergency would need to get done most, but if the content of the meeting is not an emergency nature, I don't see why we can't get 1.4, really, we should always be able to get 72 hours.
Carla, would you mind weighing in on the question you're putting?
Could you guys speak up a little bit for the
Oh,
recorder, please? Thank you.
I'm asking Carla if she can weigh in on this a little bit.
Where's the microphone?
Right behind you.
It does pick up pretty well, but Terry is still taking
But we're
minutes.
facing away from it, so you may have to raise your voice.
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Special meetings and emergency meetings are different under the law. A special meeting is solely not a regular meeting. In other words, regular meetings are the ones that you're going to vote on later on tonight with respect to the regular monthly meeting. A special meeting is any other meeting. It does not require an emergency. So any special, anytime you decide to have a meeting on, let's say, a sidewalk workshop or anything like that, that's not a regular meeting, that's a special meeting. As I indicated last week, and I think it was trustee Baskin who asked the question, that under the law, if a meeting is already scheduled, a week in advance, it's 72 hours notice. If it's scheduled less than a week in advance, it is as reasonably practicable. So the 24 hours that you have in here is not uncommon, because a special meeting would be called probably, since you guys have every 2 week meetings, within a week. If it's within, it's over a week and you've scheduled it, there's your 72 hours. If it's less than a week, you actually are doing more than required under the law. And an emergency meeting is just what it says. An emergency, you have to call a meeting that afternoon because something happened, or you have to call a meeting the next day because something happened.
Thank you. So I'm wondering if, in order to avoid confusion and conflict with state law, if we should put in the rules of procedure in that paragraph, exactly what is in state law. If a meeting is scheduled at least a week in advance, notice must be given to the public in the news media not less than 72 hours prior to the meeting. So that it's just known and understood that anything that is a week out, needs to be 72 hours.
I think what Carla is saying though is, that, well, the state has some prescriptive stuff that they suggest. It seems that it's a common practice to allow for those 24 hours. You know, in many cases.
It's law, it's 72 hours. If it's a week
if it's-
ahead.
If a meeting is scheduled with a week's notice, it's 72 hours, correct?
So that is not really reflected as just says, special meetings called by the mayor, take two members, the clerk contacts the members, if the quorum is available, notifies the official, at least 24 hours in advance of special meetings. So if you lose track of the state law, you may not be in compliance with the state law. So I would suggest we just add that sentence from the state law at the end of that, saying if a meeting is scheduled at least a week in advance per state law, notice must be given to the public at the news media not less than 72 hours prior to the meeting.
What you want, you could just say special meetings are called pursuant to state law.
Well, I think it's helpful, we lose track of stuff here. And so it doesn't, I think it's helpful to actually spell it out.
So are you,
Makes sense.
I'm sorry, are you requesting that we put in that the state law applies to the week out special meetings,
Right. Yeah,
but does not apply to the less than a week out special meetings?
well, because it doesn't, right?
It does, if you're, what,
It
let me,
said as applicable, I thought.
exactly, but you're doing it better here, you're giving more notice here. If it's less than a week, you're giving more notice than the law requires, which is good, which is fine, you're allowed to do that. I just wanna make sure I understand as I draft this, how you want to state it.
What I would suggest is we leave the 24 hours in there and we add that sentence that I just read, which clarifies that so everything less than a week is 24 hours, but if it's more than if it's a week or more, then it's 72 per state law. Just repeating what state laws.
Okay, so it's a little added.
It's,
So
I've heard the board
I
precise,
see, I kind of see what you're saying. Alright, so
So the sentence would be,
special meetings. Let me see.
No.
If some special meeting called, sorry.
is scheduled at
Yeah,
least.
do you mind, Carla, 'cause I'm not.
I have what you wrote, right here, it says, if a meeting or special meeting is scheduled at least a week in advance, notice must be given to the public and the news media not less than 72 hours prior to the meeting.
How soon to say, I don't think you need to get that specific, honestly.
But,
I-
think,
I-
well,
May I borrow this language?
this is your writing, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think I was in the middle of a movie theater when I emailed.
It reads pretty well, go ahead.
Because I'm looking at your actual rules of procedure. It says special meetings are called by the mayor or by any two board members. In the event that the meeting is held, the special meeting is scheduled 1 week or more in advance. I can't type fast, I'm sorry.
That's his name.
And the clerk shall give.
Not, it says not, state law, not less than 72 hours prior to the meeting. So notice must be given to the public and the news media not less than 72 hours prior to the meeting. I think that's actually right out of, open meeting law. I read that's,
So you want me just to, do you?
got it?
No, go ahead, type, tell me, I'll type.
Okay, I'll say it again. If a meeting is scheduled at least a week in advance, notice must be given to the public and the news media not less than 72 hours prior to the meeting.
So are we keeping in the clerk contacts members and if the form is available? Okay, so we have to change that. Well, I don't have to work on putting this together, I'm trying to make it work within the actual.
What do you have to change related to what the clerk does?
I just need to float it.
I did, and all I'm asking is for that sentence that I just read, I think 3 times, to go at the end of the paragraph. So it says, special meetings are called by the mayor, by any 2 board members. The clerk contacts the members, and a form is available, notifies the official newspaper at least 24 hours in advance of the special meeting. And then you have the sentence that I just, that here, that's from here.
I think what Carla is saying is it doesn't direct what the clerk should be doing in the case of a meeting that's scheduled in advance, so, for a week in advance. Who can advance? So,
Alright, so you want to.
she's just gotta make that clarification that it is the clerk's responsibility to, again, make those
Right,
notifications.
okay.
That's what she's trying to get at as well.
Alright, so we're okay with that?
I'm fine with that. You would make a motion, I'm sorry.
Alright, I second that one. Thank you.
Alright, so, wanna wait a second, or?
No, I know what he wants to put in.
Oh.
It's fine.
Alright, so, Mary accepted the change, Ben is accepting the change, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye. We're ready.
Okay. Alright,
You're opposed, Sean?
I'm opposed, yeah.
Just clarifying.
okay. Alright, may I have a motion approving the attached schedule of regular board of trustee meetings for calendar year 2025? Second, please.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion passes. General resolutions, this is regarding training. May I please have a motion that whereas there is to be during, coming official year, the New York Annual Conference of Mayors Annual Meeting and Training School, the New York State Conference of Mayors Fall Training School for finance officers and municipal clerks, and School for Department of Public Works Working Supervisors. And whereas it is determined by the Board of Trustees that attendance by certain municipal officers and employees at one or more of their meetings, conferences, or schools benefits the municipality. Now therefore be it resolved that Section 1, the Village Board of Trustees, the village clerk, village treasurer, the deputy village treasurer, accounting assistant, public works supervisor, and other employees as appropriate are hereby authorized to attend the above listed conferences in schools and others as determined by the mayor. Section 2, that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Motion. And a second?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question, just wondering why this, Carla, for you, why this motion is necessary, like, is there money attached or implied by this motion, or why do we need this motion?
You have to pay to go to the meeting.
So we don't know exactly, I guess what we're saying is, we're, not that I'm against the motion, but just we're voting for a motion, we're not sure how much exactly, it is.
This is basically the motion saying that you're allowed to go to all the training schools during the year, and you don't have to have a different motion each time you ask for it.
Right. Okay, but there is money that's in.
Yeah, because it costs for you to go.
I'm just wondering, we should explicitly say that we'll cover the cost.
I think that's implied, to be able to go, you have to pay. Any more discussion? Not yet, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? Alright, that motion passes well. This is regarding mileage reimbursement. May I please have a motion that whereas the Board of Trustees has determined to pay a fixed rate for mileage as reimbursement to officers and employees of the village who shall use their personal vehicles while performing their official duties on behalf of the village. Now therefore be it resolved, such one, that the Board of Trustees shall approve reimbursement to such officers and employees at the current IRS reimbursement rate, and that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
I'll make the motion.
Alright. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? Alright, this is the consent agenda. I do wanna make note, we are removing the village purchasing policy. The last item on the consent agenda, Melissa wanted to take another look at it before we voted on it. We'll put it on the agenda for January 13th. Is there any, after reviewing this, anything you guys need to have moved or only purchase?
So that particular thing isn't
Yeah.
necessarily organization.
It is an annual, there's nothing in the law that defines organization or organizational, it is an annual, review.
Okay. May I please have a motion that the following banks and depository organizations be designated as official depositories of village funds, subject to change by a resolution of the Board of Trustees at any time. The Adirondack Trust Company, Generations Bank, and non-class. That the Daily Gazette be designated as official village newspaper. That the village clerk be authorized to send a signal letter to the news media providing the schedule of regular meetings. Further, the village clerk shall post a public notice of such schedule. Field Horn be appointed as historian of the village of Folsom Spa for a period of 1 year with the end date not to be before December 31st, 2024. Thank you, Mary.
Do you need to amend that date?
She's making it as part of the motion.
Oh, okay.
So, may I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right, the motion passes. As I said at the top, we would do another public comment section. This would be on anything that's not necessarily on the agenda. Ms. Rose? Oh, and also this is the time for folks on Zoom to raise their hand if they're interested in public comment.
Liz Cornwell's 89 High, 2 comments. One, there's been an awful lot of confusion as to what is and is not an organizational meeting. And I understand that the position of the village is that tonight is the organizational meeting, that the other meeting on January 2nd was a special meeting. I'd just like to clarify that there's nothing that happened on January 2nd that made it an organizational meeting. That appointments and stuff could happen at any time, et cetera, is that true? I'd like to know from the lawyer, because it's very
So you gotta be directing the board,
well,
and ask
or
Carlos to
the
do that,
board
so.
to ask the lawyer, please to clarify that, you can do that post my comments. The other thing is, I was really disappointed that the two people who were not reappointed to their positions, were not informed. They are both citizens who have given their own personal time and effort to this village, and to not be, for one, reappointed, that is the discretion of the mayor, but to not even be told that they were not reappointed. I think this is really shameful. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Anyone online?
I've got nobody.
Okay. Carla, would you mind actually addressing that?
I'd be happy to, because I've seen a lot of stuff on social media, and I've been actually personally contacted by the Times Union to discuss the advice I gave to my client, so I did not give her the advice I gave to my client, because that would be a breach of ethics and confidentiality. I also saw the Schenectady Gazette article. As the board is well aware, through multiple emails from last week while on vacation and this week, there is nothing in state law that requires an organizational meeting. There is nothing in state law that defines an organizational meeting. And there is nothing in state law that sets an agenda for an organizational meeting. There are specific requirements for example, designating the official newspaper, designating the official depositories. But that happens on an annual basis and under state law, and even in the village code, does not identify an agenda or what needs to be on an agenda for such an annual meeting. There is what most municipalities do, and they define a quote-unquote organizational meeting. But legally, there is nothing in state law that defines an organizational meeting or what should be on the agenda for an organizational meeting. I know that there has been a lot of talk about precedent, and that has always been done this way. Again, from a legal perspective, there was nothing improper or in violation of any law, state regulation, Village of Ballston Spa code, with respect to the special meeting that took place on January 2nd, or with respect to this meeting that's taking place tonight. I don't know how much clearer it can be. I provided the board with my advice in writing with the specifics of the law. I've conducted legal research. I've asked board members to provide me with their legal research if there's something different, and I've received nothing. So I just want to put it on the record that there was nothing violative of any law holding the meeting last week, what they did at the meeting last week, or having the meeting tonight.
Please, clarification.
All right, I'd like to respond.
I mean, technically we don't have it, but sure, go ahead.
This is why I think the January 2nd was actually an organizational meeting. It was intended as the organizational meeting, it was set up as the organizational meeting, and was run as the organizational meeting. Anyone who claims it wasn't the organizational meeting is willfully blind to the facts. What are the facts? The public notice says organizational meeting. The notice to trustees said the annual organizational meeting. The agenda was filled with organizational meeting agenda items. 51 separate appointments made, only 2 other motions. So, that is by definition an organizational meeting when you're making appointments for the year. Frank's own comment in an email, the purpose of this meeting is the purpose of making appointments to be effective on January 6th and other organizational measures, other motions relevant to the new year may be made as well. The fact, and then lastly, the fact that no other organizational meeting was planned as late as Tuesday morning, December 31st, the meeting on January 6th, this meeting is Frank's last minute, face saving, pro forma, vestigial wind of an organizational meeting, a meeting he never intended to have, based on multiple emails. That makes January 2nd the actual organizational meeting. No one is disputing the fact that, or the assertion that the January 2nd meeting was a legal special meeting, despite board members not being notified of the meeting until after it was scheduled and public notice went out. Board members learned of the meeting after the public, and at the time were told that it was the annual organizational meeting by the clerk. At the meeting, Frank had a possibly illegal executive session and violated rules of procedure by requesting a vote on removing motions from the consent agenda, which is not needed. Nevertheless, it was not illegal to hold a special meeting on January 2nd. However, it was illegal, in my opinion, to hold an organizational meeting on January 2nd, and that's what that special meeting was in every respect. As the organizational meeting was held on a date not allowed by village law. It was therefore illegal in that sense. That is my opinion.
Trustee Baskin, can you provide me with the specifics of how it's illegal? Because honestly, I'm willing, as I indicated, wait, let me finish. As I indicated in my email, I'm willing to learn. I will want to learn if you have somewhere where it says that was an organizational meeting. I'm glad you have indicated that you recognize that the meeting held on the 2nd was not in violation of law. That's correct, you said that,
As a
correct?
special meeting, it was not.
Okay,
I
so-
never
so
said
the-
it was as a special meeting.
Well,
I think
that's,
we're talking about semantics, because I'm saying, I'm asserting, and, yeah, go ahead.
as counsel to the village, I am telling you, I am advising, tonight is the organizational meeting per village code.
I agree.
And the meeting on the 2nd was not the organizational meeting per the village code, correct?
I believe that the
Not,
meeting
it's
on the
not a
second.
belief, it's a,
No,
is it?
You asked me my opinion.
No, I
You said
didn't.
correct, and I'm
That's not an
giving you
opinion. I'm
my
asking-
opinion. My opinion is that it was the organizational meeting for the year on January
So
2nd.
what is your,
That-
what would you
so-
like to do?
So, nothing, I'm just stating what I feel is true. So
Well,
that's
what do
all.
you want, is there something that
What-
you want this
well-
board to do with respect to all the appointments that were made at that meeting? Do you wanna revoke those and throw them out today? What do you wanna do?
No, I'm just saying, I don't think it was done properly. I think that meeting was the organizational meeting, in my opinion, and that it was improperly scheduled. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying to do anything, I'm just making that statement of belief.
So
Yeah,
the
it's just-
legal
it's just
opinion is,
speaking the
Hold on,
truth.
let's just keep our voices.
No.
He's just speaking truth.
no, Miss,
That's not true.
Oh,
the
but
legal-
it is, and everybody knows it.
the legal opinion, the legal opinion,
I understand. There's a
And
legal opinion.
right,
There's
and
still
I'm
trust
advising-
and opinion.
Correct?
Okay,
I
yeah.
think we're talking about semantics. Like,
Another attorney could have a different opinion, correct?
Hey, Frank.
I would, do you have another attorney that has a different opinion from the reading of state law?
I don't. I'm
Okay.
saying hypothetically, another attorney may have a different opinion.
Are you
Because
in
there is an
agreement, is
opinion.
everyone here in agreement that the meeting on the 2nd was not in violation of state law?
state law, I have no idea. I'm just referring to village law.
I don't think it was a violation of state law. I
Okay,
think by decades of precedent, all the business was organizational in nature, and by village code, this is the organizational meeting, so it was in violation of village code.
Well, I
Because we
think
conducted
what Carla
organizational
said
business.
several times is that precedent is not the law. And she's advised us multiple times that, as stated, nothing is in
Again,
definition.
I'm
And
just-
regardless of your opinions and feelings about it, there's nothing violating the law. I appreciate that you guys don't agree with us, that's fine, we don't agree on many things. But to continue to assert that there's something illegal about that is just
Well, I think
patently wrong.
Nobody said it.
It was online,
illegal about
it was online and it was on press, so.
I never said illegal in my state
Well,
law.
I did. I said it was an illegal organizational meeting.
So
And I think that
regardless,
the issue.
to continue to assert that the village has violated the law is really irresponsible as a trustee. Again, you can say.
Well,
it's
they
great.
violated
Hold
code.
on.
Code is law.
Hold on, what I'm saying is okay to disagree, it is fine to say, Frank and Bernadette and Mary just, can't stand what they do, that is all fine, but I think to continue to say that the village has broken the law is ridiculous and irresponsible, as you have a responsibility to, protect the village from that, and our council has said over and over that has not violated the law,
So
it's not violated state law
explain to me
or
why
state
that-
or village code, because there's no definitions as to what the Constitution, regardless of what precedent is, what is
Oh, so
required.
precedent doesn't matter in legal circles?
Not in regard to this, I think it could be any
Trustee
training.
Raymond, as you know, I responded to that response in an email earlier, and I already explained to you that precedent means different things in different areas. I understand you're saying this is semantics, but you keep harping on it, and I just want to know, as I told the reporter of the Times Union, there was nothing illegal or in violation of state or village code holding a meeting on the 2nd and holding a meeting today.
As long as there wasn't anything organizational in nature.
That's not.
But it was advertised as an organizational meeting, so apparently somebody assumed that everything on there was organizational.
Yeah, if we believe, as many people do, that it was an organizational meeting, the only issue is that it's not a big digression, it wasn't on the correct date. You know, I don't think it's a big deal, but I do think that was the organizational meeting and it wasn't on the accurate date. And for me, my statement, the bigger issue was Frank, to accommodate his schedule, confused the public, misled trustees, and didn't even schedule the actual organizational meeting until very late. And in my opinion, broke the law by scheduling the organizational meeting at a date that is not allowed by law. And the point is that he did all that to accommodate his own personal, he inconvenienced the public during the holiday, he inconvenienced the board with an extra meeting. We didn't get the applications for who was applying to be on the different committees and boards until that day, Thursday. I didn't know in time to read those. And so, you know, that was my objection is that he feels like everyone should bend over backwards to accommodate his schedule. And that's what I don't, so that's what
I can understand.
If I may,
that point,
If I may, folks.
What happened is that, sorry Frank, but the appointments were made. A good example is the county's planning conference. There is a better rate if we get those folks on that cycle, or not cycle, but scheduled up.
That doesn't matter, that was.
I'm not
that's
finished,
some
sir.
focus-
Oh,
some
please,
political
I'm not
focus
finished.
point.
I'm not finished. Going back to Carla's point though, appointments, if even Liz Quarles brought it, appointments happen year round, so it doesn't matter that we had it at a special meeting. Just because it might be the nature of some organizational meetings doesn't mean that how it goes on January 2nd constituted as a organizational.
51 separate appointments.
Frank can make 51 appointments
That makes it.
later in the year.
It's almost like that.
So-
Glad you had that Freudian slip, Frank made 51 appointments.
He's the mayor, he has the right and authority to vote.
If I may.
He doesn't consult
With the
at
board,
all.
with the board's approval, you would consult it for the agenda.
It makes the
If
meeting.
Can I
you
say, folks?
gentlemen stayed, you could have voted no.
Frank wants to speak, let him speak.
Oh, thank you, let me do my job and calm. Frank, please, we'd love to have your input.
Thank you, Bernadette, and you did a wonderful job. Sorry I couldn't be here earlier, but unfortunately, flights on Mondays in this country, especially with the weather we're having across the country. I just want to state, one of the most infuriating things that's been said in my direction in all of this is this idea of accommodating my schedule, or that I don't do my job is the insinuation, and everything else. As a part-time mayor, I think that's one of the biggest pieces of BS that I've ever heard. I think everybody knows that I'm around-the-clock mayor. And yes, I have other obligations from time to time. The village comes first always, and I'm always in communication with office staff, Bernadette if I'm not in town, anybody else that needs to be. Chief Bush knows to get a hold of me. Chief Bayshore knows to get a hold of me, and I handle things all the time. Sometimes it's nice to get away because I can actually focus on real substantive work instead of the poppycock that comes from stuff like this. Where you're sitting there saying, it wasn't really a big digression in your mind, but it was enough to go onto Facebook and start calling things illegal, impugning me, impugning the village in the process of it all. Enough was enough, okay? You viewed it as not a big digression, it still did all that. Okay, and then, it got the paper involved, it seems like, and everything else. Let me be clear. Our precedent has been for decades to have oath day and organizational meeting on the same day. Back when April was the beginning of the official year, we would take an oath, we would have a meeting that night, everything would get done in one meeting. It was, nobody really thought twice about what we were doing at that point in time. When we switched the official year, we made another change, which we never really considered what that change was compared to precedent. And we then stepped in it here because we realized, oh, we can't make appointments, or can we make appointments, or is there an organizational meeting, or isn't it? And so here's what happens in a good world and with people that are reasonable, with common sense. Basically, Ben, you raise an objection to it. You send us the material. We look back at the material. I reached out to Carla. I said, Carla, look, the intention is to get appointments done ASAP. Because last year we were lucky, the oath day was the first, and the first meeting was the second, which was the Tuesday after the Monday of New Year's Day. So we didn't run into this in 2023. Carla said, well, you can do that. You can do appointments in a special meeting on the Thursday. So we'd have to renotice the meeting. We did under what is the law with newspaper notice and everything else. Also on the website, or on the Facebook rather. We attempted to on the website. I'm not sure if it did or didn't stick. Jen was on vacation at that point in time. Rebecca attempted to make the fix. But what we tried to do was work through it to accomplish the goals ultimately of making sure that we got everybody in place for our committees and our boards and our commissions as quickly as possible. That's our job. That's my job especially. So this idea that in some way, shape, or form was, trying to jerk chains here and create issues and everything else. No, I'm actually trying to run a government. And what amazes me, even some of the questions tonight, as I was getting in place here tonight, I heard. I mean, some people have been on this government for 4 or 8 years, and some of the questions that were being asked were like, infuriating for me, because it's like, how don't we know some of this? But either way, it comes down to this. It was legal. To claim it was illegal is ethically a violation in our village. I would appreciate the retraction that's been requested multiple times. And if not, I would appreciate it if somebody that's tried to take me up on ethics charges in the past goes and brings you two on ethics charges for the same thing, and we'll test it out there to see what the thought is at that point in time. How's that?
Sean, have you ever brought Frank up on ethics charges? Because I never have.
No.
No.
I know Frank's weaponized village staff bring ethics to
That's
place.
true.
Okay, gentlemen, now, at this point, this is.
So you just made a misstatement, Frank, but you know what, Frank? I'm glad.
I didn't state you took me to ethics. I stated other people took me to ethics, and I would put the onus on them to take you on to ethics at this point for the same rationale, which is distruthfulness.
What I'm objecting to is you said that Sean and I have taken you to the ethics board, and we have not.
That's not what you said.
That's not what I said.
Said other people. And
Other
some
people, I said, guys, and this is the problem. I don't think you listen sometimes. I really don't, because that's the key difference.
So I just want to respond to Frank. I want to say, Frank, that I'm glad you took the time off. You deserve it. You worked very hard, and apparently you had a very good event to go to, and that is commendable. And I'm just saying that, in my opinion, it wasn't necessary to reschedule the meeting. Like, if you just be on the 6th, trust your deputy mayor to get it done. You could prepare everything you needed for that agenda for the 6th, and that would be the straightforward thing to do.
And obviously you're here now, so there's absolutely no reason for this to be rescheduled.
All right, I
Okay.
think we have literally begun this conversation
And all the
that
reasons
night.
you made
Please
were
have a
applicable.
motion that organizational meeting be adjourned at 7:39 PM.
I'll say.
Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
None, there better be none. Thank you so much, everyone. You have a great night and stay warm. Thanks, Frank. Be safe.
Thank you.
Travels.
See everybody tomorrow.
Thanks for doing the pledge. I think that's gonna be our goal now. Whoever comes in first gets the honor.
I brought one. Oh, thank you.